Come back to Simright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. In this class, I'll be teaching you how to make these beautiful scrunchy ruffles on a sleeve. So these ruffles, as you are seeing right here on the thumbnail and on the dress form, can actually be attached anywhere on any dress. This dress is actually a bustier dress, as you can see, and it has a canoe neckline. So I'm going to show you how to sew these ruffles perfectly. So stay tuned. Sleeve I'm going to use for this project. So I'm going to sew my ruffles, the flange ruffles. I'm going to sew them on the basic sleeve. So if you look at the thumbnail, you can see we have 4 of them. So to achieve that, I'm going to give spacing. The first ruffle will be exactly sewn on the tip. Okay, that is after adding half an inch of seam allowance. The second one will be sewn after half an inch. The next one will be sewn after half an inch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how we are going to sew this. So I'll just simply go ahead and also connect the half an inch. So I just do this half an inch. So if I do that, I'll just go ahead and connect to that point. So I'm supposed to do this on my basic sleeve directly, but I want to use this paper to determine the length of each ruffle. Okay, the length of each ruffle. So I keep doing this and connect all of them. Then now I'm taking the measurement of the sleeve head. This is where I'm going to sew all the ruffles, as you can see right here. So I'm actually taking the measurement and making my spiral flounces. Of course, you know how to make your spiral flounces. So I'm going to make my flounces. I'm done with my flounce. Of course, you know how to go about your flounce. So this part of my flounce, I will just do what? Blend it this way. I'm going to cut it off, blend it this way, because it's going to be at the armhole area. So I'll start off the cutting. I'll just come here, although I'm not using this, but I just want to use it to create space for this one. Okay, so the flounce is at 5 inches. So we'll cut out the flounce. Okay, so this is what we are going to have at this point. So these parts, the 2 parts right now, I'll just put it together a sort of, okay. So what I want to do is just to shaping this part a little bit. Okay, because this part is going to be to the armhole, so I'll just shaping it and take off that part. So I will use it to cut out the armhole area. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So now the inner part of this our flange, the inner part of it, I'm going to take the measurement of the inner part of this flange. So I'm taking the measurement. So the measurement should be 2 times of the measurement we got. 2 times of the measurement we got. So let me just start from here, from the inner one, because that is, we have to measure. Remember, we measure 21 inches. So now we need 42 inches so as to ruffle it to the armhole. So you can see the measurement I'm taking right here, and that is the part we are going. So we have approximately 45, which is good for us. So when we start ruffling, this is what the, so I just want to make a little more adjustment to what I have on this spiral. So remember, we took our measurement from here this way. That is where we are going to sew to the basic sleeve. So I just added, here is 32 instead of 45. I noticed that 45 is too much. So what I will do, I just added 10 inches to my basic sleeve. Okay, so let me just add 2 more inches. So I'll just come here this way because I actually need here to be small this way. Then I'll cut it off right away. Okay, then I'll also reduce what I have here more. I just want it to have this shape, so I'll just come from here and okay, so I think it's better that way. So by the time we sew them, they will all look alike. So we actually need to do what? Reduce what you have right there. So this is what I'm going to use now to cut out my flange. So at the end of the day, by the time we sew it to the basic sleeve, we'll just make little pleats. Okay, we'll just make little pleats at interval so that the flange falls in place. So I will now bring in my fabric. I will hairstay. I will sew with my crinoline, then top stitch before we sew to the basic sleeve. I decided to reduce the length of my flange. Instead of 5 inches, I made 4 inches. Okay, so now I've cut out my flange and I'm going to sew my crinoline. I'm done sewing with my crinoline. I top stitched. I flipped all the seams to the part of the crinoline like this. So now I'll turn everything to the front. I'm going over to my ironing table to give it a good press. So I'm going to repeat this process for many of these flounces. Okay, so I'll iron it down very appropriately. All the ruffles, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of my flounces. Okay, so you can actually see that the flounces has the same shape because I use the same pattern. So now I'll just go over and serge. Okay, but I'll just use my thread first, go around it, then serge. Now I've cut out my basic sleeve and have added my seam allowances. So I'm going to make my notch. Okay, so this is the sleeve grain line and this is the front sleeve. So I just make a notch to it because when I'll be sewing this, I'll put all of this into consideration. So I have my notch there. I'm going to take off. So since I'm working with a lace fabric, I've decided to, instead of sewing this, I have 2 pieces here. Okay, I have 2 pieces. So with this notch, I'll be able to know the front piece and the back piece. So I'll set this aside and I'm going to cut out this part. Okay, I'm going to cut it out right now. This is where we are going to stitch the ruffles. If you remember, we are going to stitch the ruffles on this. So I'm going to cut out this shape. We are going to place it on the lace to serve as a base for the ruffles since we are working with a very light fabric. So I will add my seam allowances now and I'll bring it back for you to see. it out, and I've added 0.5 inch and 1 inch on the sides as it was on the sleeve. So I'll take up this pattern right now. I'm going to first, I hesitate, make sure you hesitate too. So the down part of it, I'll just go into my machine and fold it in this way. I'll just run stitches to it to hold it this way. Then once I'm done, I'll give it a good press. I'm done stitching it to the lace right now. So the next thing we want to do is to start sewing the our flounces. Okay, so to sew these flounces, I'm going to start up this way to sew. I've demonstrated it before. So as I go to my machine now, I'll just be making pleats. Okay, I'll just be making pleats. So I'll do that for this one. Okay, so I can also invert the pleats. I can go this way, I can go that way, I can do this. So I'll just go ahead and stitch now. So I'm going to do that now. Sewn the first stitch, as you can see right there. Going to sew the second. So I've sewn the first and the second layer, so you can see it right here. So I'm thinking of bringing in another layer. I'm thinking of sewing another layer in between, because I see some spaces I don't really like. So I'll just go ahead and sew neatly here. I'll fill up that space because I don't actually want any space at all. So you see how I'm placing it this time around. I'm going to place it facing this side. Okay, the last time I placed it facing this way. So you can also place it, let me place it facing this way since I want it to cover. So I'll just go ahead and sew inside this space so it's very close. So I'll do that now. What I have for the 3 of them. Okay, so this is 3 which I've added right now. So I'm going to put this one, I'm going to sew this one from here. So I'll face it to kiss this one. So and I'll also go ahead and pleat. So that will be the final one. So I'm done sewing the whole of them. As you can see, I have the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 pleated in there. So the next thing I will do now, I'll bring this together the normal way we usually bring it together. So I'm going to sew by the sleeves this way to the end, just to shaping the sleeve. Finished turning the sleeve, so you can see what we have on our basic long sleeve. So I'll just go ahead and sew this now to the dress. So to sew that, I'll simply turn my dress this way, and I'm going to tuck in the seam lines. So make sure you tuck in your seam lines. Okay, so secure with your pin. So I'll go ahead and insert what I have here. I'm going to insert it in. So once you have inserted it, then you are going to pin your sleeve to match up with what you have right here. So I'll bring in another pin to do that. So I'll just go ahead and pin this way to that armhole part. Okay, so once I've done that, I'll now push in what I have here. Just push. This is actually very bulky, but at the end of the day, it's worth the sewing. So I'll now find the sleeve head. Okay, so if you have marked the sleeve head, just find it and pin to the sleeve head too. Okay, so I'll go over to the machine now. I'm going to stitch all around. Alright, so you can see how these beautiful ruffles are achieved right now. Okay, so like I said, you can sew this ruffle to any dress at all. It can be a bustier, it can be a corset. Okay, so that is how we come to the end of this tutorial. You can see the beautiful ruffles. So thank you very much for coming to this tutorial once again. If you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.